Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today's video, I will show you how to make tomatoes powder. I am Rosie, you are welcome to my kitchen. Here I have a box of fresh tomatoes which I'm going to be using. I will start by transferring the tomatoes inside the sink. To that, I'll add salt, white vinegar. The salt and the vinegar helps take out any germs from the tomatoes. You can also use any of them as well. I will go over the tomatoes with my hands and wash until everything is done. Next, rinse the tomatoes. And it's time to slice the tomatoes. I will be slicing them into very thin slices, and this will enable the tomatoes to dry fast. So I'm going to cut them like so. You can also cut them into any shape you like. It is best to make tomatoes powder during summertime if you're going to be sun drying the tomatoes, because you need a lot of sun to help the tomatoes to dry fast. Tomato powder is very versatile. You can use it for a lot of recipe. It is very easy to store and it can last long as well. I will repeat this process until everything is done. And that is done. Next, transfer the sliced tomatoes on a tray. I'm going to be drying about 4 trays of tomatoes outside, so I will repeat this process until everything is done. And once that is done, I will transfer them outside to sun dry. I will be covering the tomatoes with a net to prevent insects and dust. And I will cover the rest of them as well. And I will sun dry the tomatoes and bring them inside the house in the evening time. Next, I will be using the dehydrator to dry some of the tomatoes as well. I will lining the dehydrator. So if you don't have sun where you live, it is best to use the dehydrator to dry the tomatoes. I will repeat this process until all the trays are lined up. And once that is done, I'll cover and put on the dehydrator and leave it to dry the tomatoes. And 48 hours later, the one I dried outside, they are ready, very dried. And guess what? They tasted so delicious. And the dehydrated one is ready as well. So for this one, I dried them for 12 hours. Once each batch was ready, I take them out and then put in another batch. I use the dehydrator to dry most of the tomatoes, and any of the tomatoes that was sliced that wasn't drying yet, I just put those ones in the fridge until I was ready to dry them. And you can also use the dried tomatoes for recipe like so without blending it into powder form. And once everything is mixed together, it's time to blend the tomatoes. I will transfer the tomatoes inside a blender and I'm going to be blending them dry. You can also use a dry grinder to grind them as well. I will blend until it is nice and smooth. And the tomatoes powder is ready. Very, very smooth. I'll just spread it out so that it can dry before storing it, because right now it is hot. If you store it while it's still hot, it's going to spoil. To use the tomatoes powder, add some in a plate. Add water. Stir and it will look like tomato puree. You can also use it in powder form without mixing it with water as well. Store the tomato powder in an airtight container and this can last for a very long time. Thank you all so much for watching. Remain blessed. I will see you in my next video.